Happens on Saturday.
I kill you.
How on earth do you get your world-saving, evil-fighting hero to get involved with a soulless, blood-sucking fiend without having that hero, along with the show itself, lose its credibility? Buffy the Vampire Slayer somehow managed to pull off exactly that, and in this video, I'm going to examine how. Spike was originally meant to be a one-season big bad, but his immense popularity turned him into a serious regular. As the writers themselves have confirmed, the idea of pairing Buffy and Spike was something they discussed early on. But Buffy is too well written to force a twist like that into a story, no matter how popular a character Spike was or how many fans were cheering for it. If this was gonna happen, it had to be well prepared. It had to be earned. I was actually a little late for the later Buffy seasons as a kid, so I'd heard Buffy and Spike get together before I saw it for myself, and what initially sounded implausible and weird didn't feel like that at all when I watched how it actually unfolded. Why? Because the groundwork starts much earlier than the relationship itself on several different levels and without ever forcing either character to act against their established personality. As a result, the audience eventually comes to see Buffy and Spike together as a natural progression rather than a narrative betrayal. Here are 3 ways Buffy prepares the audience for this storyline. Let's examine them as a lesson in how to pull off a major narrative pivot. Number 1.
Help me. Oh!
Altering the perception of Spike. You cannot go that quickly from evil to good, but as we saw in season 4, you can go from evil to pitiful and ridiculous. Giving Spike the behavior-modifying chip works on several levels. On the most obvious one, it turns his attempts to act like the dangerous vampire we've come to know into comedy.
Open up! I'm gonna kill you!
The dynamic between him and Buffy shifts from mortal enemies to something much closer to childish bickering and petty arguments, often played for laughs.
You are one step away, Missy.
Giles, help! He's gonna scold me.
But the chip also does something more important than just making Spike funny. It complicates him. Even though he's still soulless and fundamentally evil, he's suddenly unable to act on those impulses. Now, most Buffy vampires have a fairly straightforward existence: kill, feed, hatch evil schemes, destroy the world. But prevented from doing any of this, Spike is forced into a tragicomic identity crisis. An existential dilemma can be, on the one hand, very relatable, but on the other hand, he's still a killer whose crisis stems from the fact that he can no longer murder people, which makes the whole thing, again, a bit ridiculous. Eventually, Spike discovers he can satisfy his love of violence by helping the Scoobies fight demons. His newfound helplessness also makes him dependent on them. These circumstances give the show perfectly believable reasons to keep him around without pretending he's suddenly become one of the good guys or requiring anyone to act out of character. Spike is no longer a threat, but only because the circumstances around him have changed. Buffy never asks us to believe he became someone else this quickly. In fact, it keeps reminding us he hasn't.
Can any one of your damn little Scooby Club at least try to remember that I hate you all?
We are never meant to mistake circumstance for redemption, and that's the crucial part. The result is a gradual and believable shift in how we perceive him. By turning Spike into primarily a source of humor and reluctant assistance, rather than an immediate villain, the show creates the perfect conditions for further developing his character and his relationship with Buffy later on.
Here endeth the lesson.
No, Master, I actually have a few more points I want to make. Okay, number 2. Exposing the audience to the smoochies. I love this one. Do you know how many times we see Buffy and Spike kissing or acting like a couple in various comic or low-stakes situations, ones where it didn't really count, before they actually get together for real? The answer is more than enough. When I first noticed this on a rewatch, it struck me that the show had been gradually getting me used to the image of Buffy and Spike together without me even realizing it. The first example comes in Something Blue, where one of Willow's spells causes random things she says to come true. After Buffy leaves her in distress to go after the escaped Spike, Willow sarcastically says maybe Buffy should just go marry him. So Spike and Buffy, currently in their nemesis-turned-bickering children phase, suddenly become engaged. They kiss, they cuddle, they argue about their exes and their future, completely under the spell, to hilarious effect. Once the spell's lifted, everything goes back to normal. But we saw what we saw. The next time this happens is in Out of My Mind. After yet another one of Spike's plans falls apart, we see him ranting about Buffy. At the end of the episode, she walks into his crypt, and the scene is presented as a perfectly believable continuation of the episode, giving us no reason whatsoever to suspect we're no longer watching reality. When their argument turns into passionate kissing and Spike declaring his love for Buffy, she doesn't seem nearly as shocked as we'd expect. And just as you start marveling at what's going on, Spike wakes up, both literally and to the realization that he's in love with Buffy. Then comes the Buffy bot. Struggling with his unrequited feelings, Spike commissions an exact robot replica of Buffy. Once again, the show gets Buffy and Spike on screen as a couple without having to actually commit to making them one. We see them in bed, kissing, playing all kinds of games, even having pillow talk, as much as you can have one with a robot. What's interesting here is that while the Buffy bot is, for all intents and purposes, a sex bot, he dresses her up like some kind of kindergarten teacher and then has these oddly sweet romantic moments with her alongside the sexual ones.
Do I look hot to you?
Always.
Spike isn't just fantasizing about sleeping with Buffy, he's fantasizing about being with her. This also creates an interesting gap between the audience and the Scoobies. To them, the Buffy bot is simply another creepy expression of Spike's obsession, but the audience has access to something they don't. We get to see the tenderness alongside the creepiness, making it much easier to sympathize with Spike's feelings than it is for any of the characters around him. This makes the audience much more likely to root for him. The next one is one of my favorite Buffy moments. This is the only one of these that actually was sort of real, but not for romantic reasons, at least not on Buffy's side. At the end of Intervention, Buffy is terrified Spike told Glory about Dawn being the key. Dressed up as his Buffy bot, she comes to his lair to find out the truth. And not only did he not betray them, but believing he's talking to the bot, he tells her things that make the sincerity of his feelings and his loyalty apparent. Buffy looks really taken aback for a second, and then gives him what can be interpreted as a gratitude and appreciation kiss. A kiss that immediately tells Spike this is the real Buffy. This is probably the first real moment that happens between them, but it isn't the radical turning point in their relationship or the beginning of their romance. I still get chills watching this though.
What you did for me and Dawn, that was real. I won't forget it.
Between Something Blue and Once More with Feeling, years pass, both in the show and in real life. During that time, we've already seen Buffy and Spike kiss and behave like a couple enough times that the image no longer feels strange. While none of these moments really moves their relationship forward, every one of them moves the audience forward. So by the time the best kiss in TV history really happens, the relationship isn't being introduced. It finally catches up with something the audience has been conditioned to accept for years.
Here endeth the lesson.
Would you stop rushing me? The video is not that boring.
Oh, someone put a stake in me.
Please prove Captain Peroxide wrong by subscribing. Number 3. Impeccable timing. So our perception of Spike has been softened, and we've gotten used to seeing these two together. But the show still needed one final thing, a narrative justification that would make Buffy cross that line. Buffy and Spike's relationship is deeply entangled with the wider storyline of Buffy's depression and self-destructive behavior in Season 6, which gives the whole thing another layer of plausibility. The timing makes it an expression of her crisis rather than a contradiction of her character. The obvious danger was making Buffy seem as though she'd suddenly decided evil wasn't such a big deal after all, as long as the evil happened to be hot. But instead of ignoring that contradiction, the show turns it into one of Buffy's central struggles. As she herself says,
He's everything that I'm supposed to be against.
the conflict isn't brushed aside, it's acknowledged, explored, and becomes part of the relationship itself. When they finally get together, it is also nothing like the romantic fantasy Spike had been imagining in Season 5. After their kiss and once more with feeling, Buffy continues to fight against the possibility of anything happening between them. Spike, frustrated by Buffy's insistence on pretending nothing happened, drops the romantic pining, and more of the old Spike starts coming back into his attitude towards her. That push and pull becomes the foundation of their relationship. Attraction is mixed with guilt, shame, and self-repulsion on Buffy's side, while Spike both feeds into her self-destructive behavior and uses it to pull her closer to him. It's messy, passionate, self-destructive, and often ugly, but that's exactly why it works. It feels exactly like the kind of relationship these two characters would have at that particular point in their lives. Instead of making Buffy feel inconsistent, it ends up completing the picture of who she is in Season 6. Pulling off a pivot like this takes a lot of preparation, and Buffy had one crucial asset: time. Over the course of 3 seasons, the writers had enough room to reshape how we saw Spike, get us used to seeing him and Buffy together, and wait until Buffy's own story reached the one point where the relationship could truly make sense. To appreciate why that matters, it's enough to remember the controversial ending of Game of Thrones, when many fans were left disappointed precisely because so much of its resolution felt rushed, underprepared, and therefore implausible. But to give Buffy writers their due, they knew exactly what to do with the time they had.
Here endeth the lesson.
Yes, dear Slayer, yes it did. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.